When's it coming? I'm doing all the right things. I know I'm doing the right thing. Stick with it, Stick with it. It's coming. Good. Let me tell you a little bit about where we're going to go today, just to kind of give you the bigger picture. So we'll do a little mindset review, and then we're going to get into sort of a little bit about where we want to go and where we are. So a little bit of what we call a gap analysis. And then we're going to jump, after that, we're going to jump into, we'll jump into a little bit of at least one strategy. I think everyone can use more good referrals. So I want to spend some time working on referrals and how to get referrals. And hopefully all of y'all can stick around long enough for that. And then for those who can stay, we'll dig into the guts of sort of what needs to happen in the next quarter specifically as far as strategies and tactics. We'll have already done that for referrals. But even if you're getting a lot of referrals, my gut is you're probably not getting, in fact I know from who's in this crowd, you're not always getting those ideal clients. It's just sort of, we're still taking stuff that is not less than optimal. And so getting the right people to walk in the door in the first place is half the battle. So we're going to spend some time on that as well. Does that sound? Does anybody have? Does anybody have anything specifically? I'll come back to it later that they definitely would like to cover with the group that they know right now. We'll come back to it in a minute. You can be thinking about that. So, all right.
Tax strategies.
Tax. Let me get a CP. Yeah. That is a good problem. All right. So since the last time y'all saw this, the chart may have changed.
Yep.
There used to be a line here, but somebody copyrighted the line. Actually, they copyrighted the terms above the line and below the line, even though we've been using it for 20-some years. So now it's a point. So it's the point of power. Or I was tempted to just put dots in there, but so I'm not really allowed to say above the line and below the line anymore. But so Josh, we may have to take that out of the thing. I'm just letting everybody know. So who's not seen this? Does anybody? Everybody's seen it? Okay, so what's the B?
The D.
The B. Below?
Isn't it below average?
But
Blame.
Yeah, blame. So we all know people who it's never their fault, right? And what do?
Just make excuses.
Excuses. All right, somebody else has got it. Besides Smith has got to answer the next one. He's denial. Okay, good. Hey, Andy doesn't want to answer any more questions, so he's going to get denial knocked out of the way. So, it's kind of a continuum, isn't it? We get a problem that comes up, and it says, all right, that's not really a problem. That's not really a problem. And then we say, yeah, it's a problem, except something. And then we say, well, yeah, it's a problem except this, but it's on Stephen. Yeah, that's sort of the natural tendency. Like how many of you already made an excuse this morning sometime?
Yeah.
I heard one coming in. Yeah. I've been paying attention this morning. I've already heard about 6 excuses. It's pretty interesting. I got a couple of, emails and texts and all kind of stuff this morning about how, about timings and this and, Jennifer was behind a wreck. It happens, right? But, it's not that they aren't legitimate. It's not there. So here's a question for you. Which one are you best at?
Denial.
Who's best at denial? Okay, good. How about excuses? Who's pretty good at excuses? Yeah. Yeah. What about blaming? Who prefers? So are you better at excuses or blaming?
Both those go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. Kind of. It's usually you make an excuse, but okay, there was a wreck. Well, somebody else caused the wreck. I wasn't on my wreck. So I think part of what we need to do is understand where that falls in for us. But I do think it's important I'm glad to see the teams here. I think you got to call each other on this stuff. You know, because what's going to happen down here? Sort of nothing, right? And nothing happens below the point. There's no power. It's called the point of power. There's no below the point, nothing happens. So above the point, what do we have? You can just holler them out. Any of them? Ownership. Okay. Got two more.
Accountability.
Yeah. Y'all get some coffee. We got to get going. We got one more.
Responsibility.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So we've got own ship as a reminder. You guys have seen this. It's your own ship, right? Okay. You can buy a motor. You can go left. You can go right. Or I guess it's port and starboard in boats. Anybody a nautical guy? I'm not really a nautical guy. So I never owned boats because they suck money. Yeah, when you buy a boat, when you sell it. Yeah. Yeah. I have another one, but I can't say it in public. Yeah. So accountability, able to hold ourselves and others to account. Who's good at this? Who knows what that? Let's sort of divide this up. And accountability. Who knows what they need to do and just hesitate or don't do it? Yeah, just raise your hands if you do that. Yeah. Who's really good at that? Is anybody really good at holding people accountable? Or everybody needs some work there? Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good. Getting Sean in line. That's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you need to understand that sometimes you just need to act. I mean, if you know what you need to do, do it. Say something. You know, because what you're doing, if you're not being accountable, you're living somewhere down here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have a volunteer task force and you're trying to hold them accountable?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so
because they promise, but then they play out.
Yeah. Well, there's good volunteers that will do the things it's just like employees.
Everybody's a volunteer.
There's good volunteers. You got to understand that one of the hard things, one of my hardest lessons ever, Josh, is how to position how much volunteer time I can give to an organization that I'm volunteering for.
Yeah.
Okay, and let them know what I will do and what I won't do. Okay, if they want me to be involved, here's what I can do. And that's been a hard lesson because I've been overcommitted pretty much all my life.
Yeah.
Because every volunteer, if you care, and everybody in here cares, you'll get involved in some stuff. Okay, and it's okay. I mean, I have people that have all kinds of. What are your rules? You know, I have people that only do one board at a time, or only do one thing at a time. You know, I'm involved in one extracurricular thing, or I can't do any now. I'm just off. I got to focus on this. It's my family and my business are too important. I got to put all my eggs in. Whatever. It's up to you. It's whatever you. It's kind of whatever your purpose is, your why. Been there. But yeah, the volunteers it's like herding cats for sure. For sure. Responsibility. Obviously, there are things outside of our control. Correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. The wreck, sort of outside of our control. She wouldn't, the only thing, but what could she have done to make sure? I mean, how many wrecks are there on I-26 every week?
Yeah, right. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, my wife was got hit in the back up on 26 coming from the Weaverville exit. The highway patrolman told her that there's a wreck, the same place, same thing, every day. So he goes every day. He's on duty to that place once and he said it happens every day. I'm out here every day. So it's nuts. So if you know that, then you can set your alarm 20 minutes earlier because you might be late.
Yeah.
You know, you get here. She actually was on time, by the way. She started early enough, and she texted and said, "I'm on the way. I'm getting there behind a wreck." You know, she did everything right. It was just in. So it's interesting. So is it okay with everybody if we stay up here today?
Yeah.
And everybody's okay with holding everybody else accountable to stay up here today? Perfect. All right, I'm gonna blow through these because I think we can get this since some of you guys need the early. We can blow out. So the only failure is a failure to. Yeah. Well, yeah, Katie. I know you're an A student, but keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Let them think it out a little bit. Let them, because it's interesting. Even though they all know this stuff and they've all seen it, 100% of the people in this room have seen this. That they, you know, it's a good reminder to come back. If you don't use it every day, if you don't have this up in your. By the way, I do have a client who has this one. He had a poster made and put it in his break room. He had one of, you know, it was pretty cool. So, yeah, well, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, he went over it with his, you know, we did it. We went over the whole with his team. We said, this is the, you know, if you don't get anything else today, get this. And they all, you know, and so anytime they just, you know, it just moves the business forward when everybody's playing. Everybody's playing. So the second half of this is give. Does anybody know the second half? Give. So it's give 100%, get 100%. So we all know. We've all probably played with people who weren't there mentally, who were playing some, you know, who've been on the job with people who certainly weren't there mentally. They're working, they were showing up, they were there for a period of time, but they weren't there mentally. Does that make? So were they giving 100%? No. So is it all right with all of y'all if we play 100% for the next few hours and get this thing knocked out? Is that cool? Is that not all right with anybody? All right, we're gonna move. We're gonna go quick. All right. Who would like to do this one?
Are we gonna cross that out like Ghostbusters?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. Good memory. It's good memory. Who's got teenagers? Anybody got teenagers?
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Had one last
Yeah,
night.
close enough. They're pretty smart.
My niece was in town.
Yeah, they're pretty
last
smart.
night.
Hey, they're pretty smart.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what you were talking about. I was like, that was maybe a little more
Yeah,
inappropriate.
my niece was here home last night, and I heard that all night long.
Yeah, no, they're pretty smart. Their statement is, "I know," and what happens? Real quick, come on. Faster we go, we can get it.
Shut down.
Shut out.
Yeah, they
Shut down.
yeah, they shut down. We shut down. We go right away to where on this one?
Excuses.
Below the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to eliminate that if it's all right. And who remembers a good phrase that you can use instead of "I know"?
Isn't that interesting?
Yep, that's interesting, or isn't that interesting? It's a good way when somebody comes with you with an idea from your team or from outside, and they, instead of saying, "Yeah, we tried that 3 years ago and it didn't work," that's interesting. Thanks, I'll take it under consideration. It just allows you to. I mean, it could be the stupidest idea you've ever heard. I mean, it could be a dumb idea, but you know, you still want to get them to bring you ideas. So good. Really, bring them on. Don't you? Am I?
I don't know, yeah, well, yeah. In our business, sometimes no, because it can come at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
Give me an example.
Sitting in a meeting and somebody, you could take the direction of where we're trying to get somebody to go in a completely different direction with the wrong statement.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
find mine.
I can understand that, but that's when you could say, "Well, that's interesting. We'll have to consider it." it's probably, I mean, it's beyond the scope of what we're here to do today. Let's get back on track. I mean, there's always if you know that could happen, then you need to have a certain scripting in your head to be able to bring it back to dead center.
Gotta be ready for that.
Yeah, you got to be quick. But you got to be ready for somebody to try to take it sideways, because that happens, right? I mean, they'll want to take
You
you.
do it on purpose.
Oh no, there are people who definitely do it on purpose, or even if they don't, there's just people who do it. They just want to.
Our banker client, you've heard me complain.
Oh yeah, they want to distract you and go down their path. Sort of what y'all were talking about before.
I would say though that on a sales side of the spectrum, that would absolutely be the case. But with the sales component not sitting at the table, then the don't bring me a problem without a solution would be kind of my preferred strategy, because
Sure.
That's right.
you know, it's like,
Think about it
bring
first.
me a problem, at least have thought about possible
Perfect.
solutions that will fix this problem.
Yeah, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
obviously a bad moving in the wrong direction, I think you go to accountability or something, you have to say that, I'm sorry, that I did that.
Well, you can. They can bring you an answer, and you can give them a no. You can say no to an idea. You can say, hey, they can bring an idea, and you can say,
But at least they're bringing.
yeah, you can say, hey, look, thanks for the idea. I've considered it. Here's what we're going to do, and here's why.
I just hate it when people bring you the burning trash can and don't have a solution to put it out.
No, you got to bring. Yeah, I don't. I think I've had that discussion with everybody in the room about, why are you letting people dump all your. I had one client. It was a great metaphor, and I think he got it out of a book, and he called it the monkey. He said, "Who's got the monkey when you leave the meeting?" If somebody comes to you.
Seems like we're
Yeah,
always leaving with the
yeah.
damn monkey.
Well. If somebody comes to you, if somebody on your team comes to you and says, "Well, we got this problem," and you take the monkey, put it on your back, then instead of helping them solve the problem, then you've pretty much enabled them to continue to bring problems to you. It's the same with clients. If it's really a client problem, you can help them through it, but they don't need to dump all their. I mean, how many of you have clients that just dump stuff on you all the time, right? Yeah. And we can, we have to establish rules. It's okay to take some of it. You got to know when it's appropriate. But there's some things that that we can't. So, yeah. So I agree totally. I love that. I mean, that's one of my first ever lessons in business was. Don't bring me a problem without having thought about it, and bring me at least one solution and maybe multiple ideas on how to solve it. Because there's usually more than one way. Because we get into this thing, don't we, with the sort of the right and the wrong. We want to be right or we want to be wrong. And in solving problems, there's usually a spectrum, right? There's usually this way and a bunch of other ways in between. So it's not necessarily, it's just human nature. We want to be up, down, left, right, wrong, instead of, well, here's 1,000 ways we could do this. It's like if you got in your car, well, come in here. I can tell you there are a myriad of ways to get here from wherever you came from. There's a tons of ways, but you picked a way. There's a lot of ways to get here. It didn't make any of them wrong or right. They just were different ways to get to the same solution. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right, what do we got here? Let's see how my art's going. Moving on. It's a light bulb. I did it again. I managed
BFO?
to. Yeah, that's right. That's right. What are BFOs? What are BFOs?
Blinding flash of the obvious.
Blinding flashes of the obvious, and you're going to get blinding flashes of the obvious today, because that's what happens when you get multiple people in a room together, where people are gathered together. Good stuff happens. It just is. There's more brain power. There's 10 or 12 of us in the room. We're going to get tons of ideas. We're going to get tons of stuff. BFOs are the. Who can tell me what a BFO is? The definition.
I can think of one.
Blinding flash of the obvious.
Yeah. What's the definition of a blinding flash of the obvious?
Something that was always there and becomes apparent, I suppose. Like
Yeah.
the veil drops and it's like,
Why? I
Were
mean,
we not doing?
yeah, it's the V8 moment. Aha! I could have, why didn't we do it that way? Or we used to do it that way and it worked and we quit. That's the biggest one that I've had over the years. Something you've always known and stopped doing. Something like that. So the best one I had was a sales guy who, early in his career, had given out a lot of business cards, and he was about a year and a half from retirement as an insurance guy, and he said, I stopped giving out business cards, and I said, why? And he said, I don't have any. I said, we can solve that. So he went and got some business cards. He said, I think I'm going to start doing it. And the deal is the old school stuff. And most of you all have heard this story, I think. The 3-foot rule, if you get within 3 feet of somebody, you say, hi, my name's Bill. You probably don't need insurance right now, but when you do, I'd love to have a shot at it. You're standing in a line at the bank, or you're buying a car. You've seen somebody at school. Anybody gets within 3 feet of you, you hand them a car. It's old school stuff, but So I said, well, you're going to try the 3-foot rule again. Well, I don't know if it still works. Do you? And he said, no. He said, so for 3 weeks, he went out, he got some cards, and he went out and did the 3-foot rule. I said, how'd you go with the 3-foot rule? He said, I wrote 2 policies in the last 3 weeks, and all he was doing was just introducing himself to whoever he came in contact with normally in his day-to-day operations. So that was a BFO for him. I'm not saying that's the strategy you could use, but it probably wouldn't in this case. But there are strategies that you've used in the past that have worked that we stopped doing, whatever that is. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what do you do when you get a BFO?
Adjust.
Adjust. What else?
I was gonna say pivot, but that's adjust.
Well, it's a good word for adjust. Pivot. I like it.
Yep.
I like it. What else? Who's ever had a BFO that was not a good idea? Yeah, I have. It's okay. Wow, that's a BFO, and then you start thinking about it. Well, no, it didn't. Maybe we wouldn't do it. What else should you do? Who's ever done the thing where they woke up in the middle of the night with the $1 billion idea, and then in the morning couldn't remember it? Right. So what should you do?
Write it down.
Write it down. Right. And guess what we've done in your book? Right there. There's something called the green sheet. And that would be for your BFOs. And how it works is you put down the strategy or the action, and then you try to estimate about how much money it will make for you. And I don't care what period of time that is. It could be 6 months, 3 months, 10 years, whatever. But I will promise you that you're likely to get an idea. Some of you are getting an idea literally from not being in your business today. If just coming in this room, and it doesn't matter what we say together or what we come up with, literally you will get an idea that will just pop into your head just by taking your brain off the grind all day stuff. Does everybody know that? My guess is we could come in here and say nothing and sit around, and every one of you would get at least one idea on how to improve your business.
Just in conversation with other vendors.
Not even having a conversation. I think you could just sit still. I think you could go into a room by yourself and sit still and come up with an idea. So when do you get your best ideas right now? When do you get them? When?
After hours.
After hours, no one's around. So quiet, in your office by yourself, nobody there. Yep.
Yard work.
Yard work, right. Yeah, when else? Shower, driving. When is it? It's when you're by yourself and there's no noise in your life.
No, there's music.
It could be music.
Podcast.
That's fine.
Podcast.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. But no, there's no real back and forth. You're kind of just getting it from.
Doing the mindless.
We can get into some metaphysical stuff, but what I believe. But at the end of the day, I believe that there's a power bigger than us that can help us get where we want to get. You just got to draw on it. So, yeah, cool. So when you get a BFO, the other thing, what should you do with a BFO? What should you do? What else should you do with it?
Share it with somebody.
Yep.
But what if it's such a good idea, if you share it, you potentially lose it?
Quit worrying about that.
Yeah, you never worry
Stop.
about that.
Just
Yeah.
stop that right now, Josh. If it's a good idea, then people will follow you.
All right.
And plus, people won't do the work necessary.
You could give away every tactic you've got. And
People will not do the work.
They
People,
just don't have the diligence
still
to
can't
do
do
it,
it the
or
same
even the
way you
skill
do it.
set.
yeah, people will, and people won't do the work. People will not do the work. Now, if you know,
and
it's,
you'll learn something from giving it away.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Stop worrying about that. Just go for it. It's just abundance.
It's
You
all
got
been done before. Everybody knows what you know.
Everything is copied, kind of.
Everybody,
Pretty much.
Everybody knows what you know. They're not doing it though.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's nothing. There's very little new under the sun.
People have been building
And they're-
four walls and a roof over their head for a million years.
And
Yeah.
Not doing anything new.
The ideas are easy, it's executing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most ideas go wasted because nobody's taking the work to implement them, to see if they'll work, to try, to push through, to make it, to make it work.
What's frustrating is that when you start talking about these ideas, there's so many people who will naysay, and I guess devil's advocate with you,
Fine.
but it's.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, well, you find out who they are. You don't know who they are until you start talking about it.
Yeah. Find somebody who'll believe in you, Josh. Find people that'll say, yeah, okay, let's see how. The right question to ask is how can we, or how could we? That's the right question always. Yeah. But it's how can we? How can we? What if we did this? How would that impact this?
The devil's advocate should
Good.
codify your ideas.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
get this point. That's
Yeah,
okay.
well, a devil's advocate's fine. I mean, if you want to bring somebody in that's just going
Like,
to.
what if that tray of stuff just like slid down this way? Right? Did I get it?
You've been doing Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
It's difficult to make it
I don't think I put that one in here. Okay, it's okay to have fun while we're here. How about that? I'll add the flip chart in. It's okay for us to have fun as well.
Stephen and I play devil's advocate with each other all the time.
Well, I think that's
Yeah.
well, but look, so you guys are, but you got to understand.
My staff do it all day.
Okay, here's the
If he takes one stance and I know it's the right stance, I'll take the other one so that we run the full game.
But you have the full. But you guys, devil advocate's fine. You don't want to get into a full out debate with somebody that's never going to agree with you.
We like.
Yeah, you want to have but you guys have the same. You have the same end goal.
Yeah, we use the same common goal.
You guys are we're trying to build the business and make it the best we can be. And as long as we have the same common goal, you need to have that creative conflict. Yeah, the 5, if you haven't read the book, go get it. It's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. You can order it on Amazon or wherever. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
My
If
biggest fear is to have a staff that's
yeah,
just a yes.
if you've got a team, you want to get it. Yeah, you do not want that. You've got to have creative conflict. You've got to have as long as everybody has a common goal, then that conflict is healthy. And if you don't have conflict, you should be worried, because then what will happen is, imagine in your business, if all you did was whatever Sean wanted to do. It'd be a train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and same with everybody in the room, because you're going to go down a path and you're going to miss all the stuff that you could have done, okay, or that would have been better. And sometimes you're just going to crash into a wall. It's not going to work. So I think admitting that is good and healthy. So having those healthy. I think that's one of the reasons this team works really well. Y'all are all pretty straightforward and kind of get it. Yeah. You got to be. I think you got to be. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants the business to do well. It's in everybody's best interest. So it all works. Everybody's got their thing. So does it make sense? All right. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen this one. So you might want to take some notes here. So that'd be fine. It's called the quality of life. So if you want to think about this in terms of the quality of life you want to have, because we're gonna get into that in just a minute. Where you are, where you want to go. But it all starts with the quality of your mentors. Okay, along the way. Okay, who are your mentors? Are they who they need to be for you to get the quality of life that you need to be? Okay? And through your quality of your mentors, then that's going to give you the quality of your education. Does that make sense? Okay? You're not going to know what education to get if you don't have a good mentor that sort of guides you along the way. Okay? Quality of your education is going to get you to your quality of dreams. You got to have big dreams. You know, if you're going to have a great quality of life, you got to have big dreams. All right? Once you have that in place, then you can move to the quality of your questions. How many of you started on a project and knew you didn't know the questions to ask? Didn't know the right questions to ask? Yeah. Yeah. So you have to come back down here and say, all right, where do I start? Do I have a good mentor? You know, do I have a good mentor?
Maybe I need to learn something.
Yeah. Then, now I've got a good mentor. I got to have a good education. Then I need some dreams. Okay? Before I can ever get to the questions to ask. Does everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, if you know the right questions to ask, are you more, and this is sort of the devil's advocate thing that y'all were talking about all day long kind of thing, then that'll give you the quality of decisions that you make. Okay? Works both ways, by the way. This is not, I mean, if you got crappy questions, you'll get crappy decisions. You know, good questions will get you better decisions. The better your questions, the better your decisions. Obviously, decisions aren't any good without action. Actions are going to get you results. Results are going to get you the quality of life you want. Has everybody got that? Does everybody sort of follow that? So it's a good checklist. If you're not getting the results you want, great. How are my actions? Well, they're crappy. Well, okay, am I making good decisions? Yeah, I made a good decision. I just didn't take any action. Or I made a good decision, or I didn't take enough action, or I took the wrong action. I could have done it different. Or I didn't ask enough questions along the way. So right now, where in your own, you can just write this down. We can share it. I just think by the way, I think I usually have this rule that whatever we do in here, I want everybody to be open, and I know a lot of you guys play in the same industries. We don't, what stays in here stays in here. Is that all right with everybody? Okay, like trade secret kind of stuff if anything comes out. Hopefully we'll do some business between everybody, but no, I know it's kind of like what Josh was talking about. There's sort of no secrets, but some people are worried about that. So where do you need work? Where do you need the most work? Do you need better mentors? You need better education, better dreams, better questions, better decisions, better actions, better results. So we got actions. Got to act. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the action
Actions and
space.
decisions.
Actions, decisions. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like to act when you have 12.
Okay. If you're having trouble with decision, ask a few more questions. It's okay to stop and ask a few more questions, and then say, all right. If you're fuzzy on something, sometimes you got to take the information you got and go. But learning who's gotten better at asking more questions as they've progressed in business. Yeah. We all have. Good. So actions, decisions, actions. Where do you think?
Mine's questions.
Questions, better questions. Got any better questions? Okay. So you need to work on your questioning. So if you want better questions, then maybe you need to look down here. Yeah. Look below. Look one or two below where you're having a challenge, and say, all right, well, I got to get. And if I'm not getting the better questions, then maybe you got to drop down and say, okay, well, I need to get a little more learning. You can use it as a sort of back and forth. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it all right if I tell the story about those books? You okay with that? Those books you sent to the architects? Or maybe you'll tell it. Tell them. Because that was about actions. You already knew what to do.
That was action.
Yeah. You already knew what to do. You had a bunch of questions about it, but...
Well, I'd say the questions were negative questions about myself and my ability. and doubt that led to a lack of being able to make decisions, that led to lack of actions, lack of results. So I've kind of like, the questioning part is kind of over that and
In that particular
then,
situation.
I'm pretty active in the decision-making part right now with, taking action to change
Right.
my path.
Yeah, right. No, I
Or
think.
to get on the path that I want to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll just tell you. So I said, look, let's get a plan together. You need a few more architects bringing you work.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we decided. He said,
We decided that the work that I want to do is from architects that put together quality documents, right? And so we went and met with Sean just to pick Sean's brain, and
right.
that was a huge confidence booster with me that day, because it was just, it's like,
Such a long
we're just
process.
people, we just,
Yeah,
we're
we're all-
all doing the same thing. We're just people having a conversation. Whereas I had put it on this pedestal that was so far out of reach.
like Sean was like way up on
You
Mount
know, like,
Olympus.
all I was really doing was I was subconsciously setting myself up to where I thought that it was just going to come to me one day. And
I had that way too.
it's totally opposite. You gotta
You
go
gotta-
get it.
Yeah.
You gotta pick up the phone and
Yeah. So anyway, we made these. He well.
Doesn't feel right to be an
Shackles and
ambush
drag
chaser,
them.
but you almost
It's-
have to.
you
At
gotta
some
go
point,
get it.
you have
Yeah.
to.
So anyway,
Yeah,
you got to do prospecting. That's the bottom line. You have to prospect. Okay. It's all there is. It's prospecting is not dead.
Most of the 3-foot rule.
Yeah. Prospecting is not dead. People still do business with people. Yes, there are tools that make it a little easier, in some ways harder, called
And
social
to your
media.
point, I mean, Steve,
and
I've
email.
talked to you about you
Social
10,
media.
12 times since then.
Yeah.
You're just waiting on the.
Yeah, that's right. It's ruining people. Anyway,
It's-
so
yeah,
so all we
you gotta
did,
go get it.
so all we did was make up.
Nobody ever approaches us anymore. No new builders. It is.
Your first builder that's contacted us since you come over with me.
Yeah, but if I started building tomorrow, I would make my rounds. I would know where to go. And
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah,
But
we-
they don't come to us.
I
Right.
think about that. Yeah, the only builder, Steven's been with me 5 years. You're the first builder that has come to us and introduced himself.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't that bizarre?
it
Well, it's
is.
scary. It's scary for me because it's like.
Anyway,
we
so
run out
And
to
we're
the
sitting here
fence line
complaining we don't
know
have
where to go.
builders. So we,
and we gotta. So all we did was make a. He has the process that he does. He made up a book of this process, and it's like, I don't know, it's about that thick, and he put them in a book, and sent it to him, and said, "This is how we do it," and love to come talk to you about how we do it. And I think 3 out of the 5 that you sent it to are all like, "Yeah, come on,
Yeah, so we're doing it in waves.
Yeah.
We've got one coming your way too, and it's but it's basically, I was like hoarded myself up in my office so long that I was like, finally, I was like, I gotta share, because clients were like, oh my gosh, this is so great, it's so,
I'm like-
so transparent, it's so informative.
I was like, "What are you gonna do?"
And I was like, I gotta share it.
I was like, "What are you gonna do?" And he
Share it.
so
you
he sent it
understand
out.
how beneficial that is.
Yeah.
We are reluctant to go out on a limb and chase builders because I may chase down some guy that doesn't follow the drawings. That's gonna change everything in the drawings to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He's constantly changing
That would bug me.
We're
bad.
all there.
constantly changing the
We all
product that I've
have our
already sold
comfort
the
zone.
client on. If
Yeah,
it's
you
in the
can't do that
drawings, the
now.
client has already accepted this is coming. Just take it.
That's right.
Don't have to offer changes and stuff like that. So we wait for those relationships to come along and find that right builder, so it's hard for us to go out and find them too. So you're doing the right thing to approach an architect. That's telling us already, hey, I want to follow your plan, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to study your plans and I'm going to follow them and I'm going to build that product. So that's probably going to be beneficial to you.
Yeah, and we made that decision, it was like, Bill's, I think he was asking me a question, he said, it's like, out of everything you do, what's the one thing that you want to let go of more than anything else? What's the one thing you don't want to do? And for me, it was, I do not want to be responsible for the design.
Right.
Just
why would you?
want to be
You got an idiot over here who's willing to stand there for the rest of his life.
We have good
And-
friends right now that's got.
But it's totally different for Smith because he wants to do design because he's an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But, and then
Why
the flip
would you
side is
question
in our
Makes me
industry, but you're a design build, and that's a whole different segment of the market.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's everybody's,
In our industry, it's
Yeah.
that contact. I mean, what's that been, a year maybe, almost?
Yeah.
Maybe not quite. But in our industry, it's such a long turnaround time. I mean, we've talked to, you're sitting here going, yeah, bullshit, I hadn't heard from you. But Stephen and I have talked. Bill's heard me say it. We think that you're somebody over there.
John Bergen's a prime example. I brought him to the table 3-4 years ago. We have pitched him on all kinds of projects. Right now, we're
For
looking for the
years.
first one.
Yeah.
We're still looking for the first one.
Because so
But we've
it's
not
such a
found
long
the right-
lead time.
Yeah.
So for you and me in our industry, it seems like it's fruitless, but it's not. But when the floodgate finally drops, it
Yeah.
drops.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
gotta plant the seed early
Yeah.
and
It's
So-
a long cultivation.
So take,
cultivate, yeah.
you need to look inward on this thing and say, all right, where, and it should be part of your deal. What's holding you back? What's keeping you? Because I can tell you, with none of these action, I mean, it gets down to action at some point. You got to take action. You got to see what the results are. You got to adjust and move up and down this thing, whatever it takes. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. All right, let's do a little work. Get out a blank sheet of paper. We'll call it 60 days.
And when we're losing us.
We'll call it last quarter, last 90 days. What are your top 3 wins? What have been your top 3 challenges? And what have been your top 3 lessons that you've learned? Top 3.